Hello, friends. I think we're back. Welcome back to ComfyUI. Welcome back to Creative Exploration with PERS. We are going to go over a very simple workflow tonight. I would even venture to call it a beginner's animation workflow. It's using prompt scheduling. So we'll just be literally typing in what we want to see and letting it happen. So this doesn't use any fancy masks, doesn't use any fancy inputs, doesn't use image to image, doesn't use video to video, any of that stuff. We are just going to go straight text to video today. So welcome. If you don't have ComfyUI set up already, you can check one of my other streams to set it up, but it is, you just simply go to ComfyUI, the link in the description below, install it, and we'll start adding stuff to the workflow. And then if you go to the manager, you can install custom nodes here, and then we just add the custom node packs that I'm talking about. But at the end of the stream tonight, I will be posting this workflow on my Discord, so you guys can just go ahead and grab it and get to playing after the stream. All right, so I will show you what it does, how it works, and then we're going to rebuild it from scratch so that you can see all the inner workings. But as you can see, it's actually a lot smaller than a lot of the workflows we've been working on. And in fact, this whole entire last step here is just an upscaler. So this is actually the workflow here. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We can use it to use the sliding context window in AnimateDiff-Evolved to go through a prompt. The prompt for this is right here. You literally just kind of write a story. Works a lot like Deforum prompt Ravel did. And for this, you only need AnimateDiff-Evolved, FizzNodes, and Video Helper Suite. I think that's all you really need. And maybe this advanced ControlNet. Yeah, when you go to pull the workflow in, you can just do that. Will I play with SD3 today? No, I will not play with SD3 today. It is not available yet for the public. It is only available on their API, and yeah, I can't really do anything fun with it other than make images with it right now. So go and wait till that drops, and then we'll see if we can plug SD3 into our workflows. But yeah, as of right now, there are no local weights for us to play with. All right. I'll go through all the nodes here and explain what they do, and then we'll erase everything and rebuild it. So we're loading a checkpoint. We're going to load an LCM checkpoint. All the links to all the models and everything are below in the description, as well as beside each model, it tells you which folder that model goes into. Okay. So go ahead and grab those and put them in the right folders in order to make this workflow work. So we're going to select an LCM LoRA, or an LCM checkpoint. In this case, I'm using Stable Realism by Stable Yogi, but there's a bunch of LCM work checkpoints you can check out. We have an empty latent image, which generates the canvas that we're going to be dreaming into, 512 by 512 width and height. And the batch size is how many frames you want to make. We're using the batch prompt scheduler from FizzNodes. This allows us to write out a batch. It goes frame number in quotes, and then colon, and then the prompt chunk in quotes, and then a comma. And you do that to the very last one, and then there's no comma on the last one. Make sure you don't use any extra quotes inside of your quotes, and everything should work fine. I think it can escape pretty much every other character, so you should be fine there. You set the maximum amount of frames here. When I rebuild this, I'm going to set an integer so that this number stays the same on both of these, and I'll show you how to do that. And then here you can add text to the beginning of the prompt and text to the end of the prompt. So if I say 42-year-old man walking down the beach, if I wanted to add, illustrated in pencil crayon on, black paper or something, it would add that to every single iteration of the prompt as it goes down. So you can shape it that way. So it's this, and then this, and then this final one. So pretext, this, app text. These are for doing prompt weighting, but I won't get into this today because it's a little confusing. You have to use batch value schedule nodes. If you want to get into that, hop on the Discord and somebody can probably help you with that. But that's for saying I want, the weight of this particular word to go up and down over the course of the animation. Okay, and then we just do our regular AnimateDiff stack. We're going to use the legacy AnimateDiff loader from AnimateDiff-Evolved. We're going to use the AnimateLCM checkpoint, T2V checkpoint, available in the description below. Beta schedule is LCM square root linear. Motion scale is 1.150 to get the kinetic motion. And click that true on apply V2 models because this is a V2 model. Our looped uniform context options, 1614. True, pyramid, true, 0, 1. So basically, this is going to be your cheat code to making your animation loop. As long as your first prompt is the same as your last prompt, the animation will loop. Hey, food. Here we're loading our AnimateDiff LoRA in. I'm using Bubbling Rings right now by Nope Burger, but you can go and get any community motion LoRA you like. I've linked Shatter down below. That's by Pixel Pusher. It's a fantastic motion LoRA. But I'm using Bubbling Rings. You can search for that on Civitai as well. No big deal. Sample settings. We got for this, all we're changing here is the noise type. We're going to change that to empty. That's going to give us a smoother animation. So that's basically the entire AnimateDiff stack. And then our diffusion, we go into a KSampler. We make sure our steps are, around 11. CFG of 2, sampler name is LCM, and the scheduler is SGM uniform. Those are standard settings for LCM. You can play with them to do different things. Then we go into our VAE decoder and we spit out the video, 24 frame per second MP4, using the video combined node by Video Helper Suite. And then for an upscale, we just run a second KSampler. We use a upscale latent by node to upscale it by 1.5. Pass that into the KSampler. And then I'm using the AnimateDiff ControlNet, which is confusing, but it's a model of ControlNet that basically can take any input and try to match that input to what it's doing. So it sort of gives you compositional control. It's sort of like video to video, but it's using ControlNet to do it. And then those are the settings I use for my upscales. And what that does is as it dreams new detail in, it tries to maintain the composition of the original animation as well. So you don't get too much new weird detail. Then that all goes into the KSampler, same settings, maybe one less step or a few less steps. You don't really need 11 steps for the KSampler. 2 CFG, sampler, LCM, scheduler, SGM uniform. Denoise anywhere from 0.4 to 0.6. Play with that. That's how close to the original it goes. The lower you go, the more exactly like the original it'll be. The higher you go, the more detail it's going to dream in. So that's at about 0.46 there. You can see the difference. You see it's sort of smoother now. There's a little more detail in the lower scale one, but this one, is crisper. So you got to find your balance there with the upscaler and the thing. I actually kind of prefer the way these look, but the detail doesn't look as clean as the detail on the upscale. So yeah, you kind of play with these settings and try and get it where you like it. You can do that by doing really short runs to test and then do a long run when you're ready. But yeah, so that's the whole setup. And now I'm just going to save this in another window so I can go back to look at it if I need to, but I think we're just going to rebuild it fresh. So fresh ComfyUI. Let's do it. What are we going to add first? We're going to add let's go from left to right. We usually start with the KSampler and go backwards, but this time I'm going to start from the left. So we're going to do a checkpoint loader. Now you can use the efficiency nodes for this. I'm not for this just because it's a super beginner tutorial. I'm trying to keep it as vanilla as possible, as many built-in ComfyUI nodes as we can, basically. So we're going to use load checkpoint, and we're going to pick an LCM model. So just like the ones in the description below. I use that realism by Stable Yogi. So now we got our model, our clip, and our variable auto encoder. Hello Pers, what GPU do you use on your PC? This is a 3090. When I get the thing running, we'll check and see how much VRAM this uses. I think it uses about 9 gigs of VRAM, but that all depends on the resolution you're rendering at as well. So you can knock that down and use less or whatever. But yeah, we'll see. A lot of these workflows are you know, they need like 12 gigs usually minimum, but might get away with 8 on this one. So we got our checkpoint. What we need to do next is set up AnimateDiff. So let's do AnimateDiff loader legacy. We don't need the stuff in Gen 2 for AnimateDiff because we're using V2, so we're going to use this. We're going to set the beta schedule to LCM square root linear, and the motion scale will be 1.15. So those are your settings for AnimateDiff. We're going to drag out of the context options and let go, and then we're going to pick the looped uniform context options. Okay, so now for this one, we're going to go 1614, closed loop, use unequal length, and pyramid. So these are the settings for a loop. All right, we need sample settings now. AnimateDiff sampling settings. You just drag out and let go, and it'll tell you what node kind of connects. And for this, we are going to change the noise type to empty. All right, and we need one more thing, which is our motion LoRA. So we're going to pull that out, and we're going to say AnimateDiff LoRA loader. And I'm going to select that bubbling rings by Nope Burger, which is available on Civitai. Just Google bubbling rings, or Google or on Civitai search for it. So that's the entire AnimateDiff stack right there. Okay. Oh, I know what I forgot. Our clip, we need to send that out to a batch prompt schedule. Okay. This node comes with FizzNodes. So you would, if you're doing this along with me for the first time, you go over to Manager, install custom nodes. You want FizzNodes. Just type that in, and it's right there, FizzNodes. You hit up there, you hit install, and you wait for it to finish, and then you restart Comfy, and it'll be here after that. So we plug the clip into that, and this gives us a positive and a negative, but you've noticed there's nowhere to actually add a negative prompt. So we're going to split this out, and we're going to use this for our positive prompt. But for my negative prompt, I'm just going to use a regular text encoder. Clip text encode. So we're going to know this is our positive because we're going to change it to green, and we're going to change this one to red. So we know this is our positive. This is our negative. If you have trouble remembering stuff like this, right click on the node and go to title and say positive prompt. And then on the bottom one, change the title to negative prompt. Doing this can help when you're just eyeballing your thing and you want to know what things are and you don't remember what the nodes are called. It's kind of the way to go. So let's make this big enough that we can see this. Okay. So our positive, oh, we don't have a KSampler yet. So this is our clip. This is our AnimateDiff, and now we need to plug it all into a KSampler. So you just add a KSampler, take your model from the AnimateDiff loader, take the positive from the batch prompt, take the negative from the negative prompt. Make sure you plug the clip into both. There we go. This latent image, we're going to need an empty latent image node. And we're going to use that at the front. This is going to determine our width, height, and the amount of frames that we generate. And then latent out goes into a VAE decoder. We plug our VAE into that, variable autoencoder. And then image out is a video combine node. This video combine node comes with video helper suite. Manager, install custom nodes. Video helper, or maybe it's VHS. Yeah, video helper suite, all one word. Install that. restart Comfy. Then when you have this set up, your frame rate is 24. The format is MP4. CRF is, the lower you set this, the higher the quality, but the higher the file size. So 15, 12 is a pretty decent size. You go any lower than that, the files are going to be huge for no real reason. And we are going to save this output because we want these. So the file name prefix, I'm actually going to show you one more node that's really cool, and they're in the Mikey nodes, and it's called file name prefix. I use the date directory first one because it helps my brain. What this node does is it lets you take this file name prefix input, or file name prefix widget, and you want to convert that into an input. So that's going to give you an input here. So we plug this file name prefix node in here, and now I say I want the date and I want the date directory. I want the custom directory to be prompt travel, and I'm going to call the custom text 24 FPS because that's my output. So now it's going to make a folder with today's date, and inside that folder, it's going to make a folder called prompt travel. Inside that prompt travel folder, it's going to save this video as 24 FPS 001 whatever .mp4. So yeah, it's just an easy way to make sure that your files sort of land in a way that you can handle it, because you know, a giant folder full of outputs is hard on the brains. Okay. This is the whole thing, basically, before we've added an upscaler. So let's test it. Let's add NSFW and nude to this. I'm actually going to add the rest of my big, long negative prompt here. Let's add NSFW and nude to the front of it. Okay. And I'll just grab this prompt and we'll edit it. So let's have a look at this prompt structure again and try to understand what these numbers mean. This animation is actually 210 frames long. And I've divided 210, or rather I've added 32 to like a number sequence of 32 frames. So every 32 frames, we're going to jump contexts here. You can do that pretty easily by just writing out a sequence of numbers. They don't even have to be equal. They do have to land at the end, but basically you're determining how long it stays on each thing in the prompt here. So let's try a snake emerging from an apple. The snake crawls across a desk. The snake starts dancing at a disco party. A giant tornado picks up the snake. The snake gets thrown across the entire country. The snake lands on an apple. And then we'll add a snake emerging from the apple so that it'll loop. All right, so we got a snake emerging from an apple. The snake crawls across the desk. Snake starts dancing at a disco party. A giant tornado picks up the snake. The snake gets thrown across the entire country. The snake lands on an apple. Then there's a snake emerging from the apple. And we're going to set our batch size to 210, so that'll be our frame count. So what I was talking about making this easier is we have to set this value in two places, right? So instead of doing this, I'm going to add a integer node, primitive integer. And that comes from the Chris tools, or Christ tools, Chris tools. I don't know how to say it. That's also what gives you these real-time readouts in Comfy. So it's a pretty handy node pack. Install custom nodes, and it's CRYS. Chris tools, Christ tools, Chris tools. Install that. Start Comfy over, and then yeah, then you'll have access to these primitive nodes, and this will update. So this primitive node is just a number. Primitive integer is just an integer, a number that is an integer with no decimal points. That's what we need for frame count because we don't have, there's no 0.5 of a frame. So let's change primitive integer title to frame count. And we're going to change batch size into an input. And we're going to change max frames into an input. And we're going to plug that in here and plug it in here. So now we can set our maximum number of frames in one place. This is also handy when dealing with resolutions in multiple places, if we were taking images and upscaling and all that. A giant Torando? I can spell. All right. Bloop, bloop, bloop. That's the whole setup. Are we ready to run this and see what we get? Oh, no, we're not. The KSampler. We need 11 steps, a CFG of 2. Sampler name is LCM. And the scheduler is SGM uniform. All right. Denoise of 1 is fine for an empty run. All right. Can you control the frame rate? Absolutely. That is this on the video combine. You tell it what frame rate you want to spit out at. And another thing we can do is take this output, spit it out here into a film node. This is in the frame interpolation set. Install custom nodes. Frame interpolation. If you add this frame interpolation, you'll get all these different types of frame interpolation, which makes the video slow motion and smoother. It interpolates the frames. We're going to add another one of these, and we're going to say 24 FPS film, so that we know it's film interpolated. And then we're going to add another video combine, plug in the file name prefix, and the images from the film node, which come out of the VAE decoder. So now we're splitting our animation into two. We got one that runs at 24 frames per second, which is the actual speed of the render. And then we have one that's at 2 times. This multiplier is how much slow motion it's adding. So it's 2, this will be 2 times slower. So this will be 15 frames per second running at 24 frames per second, which means it'll be interpolating or adding a frame in between each frame. There's another method for making sure that these interpolations loop properly, but I'm not going to get into that tonight. Film frame. All right. That should do it. Let's hit it. And while it's running, I'm just going to color these nodes green. Purple. Red. Blue. Green. And cyan. Okay. That's the whole thing. We can add an upscaler when this is done too. So now it's checking my prompt schedule to make sure that the if you look in the description, Johans, there are actually the model folders are right beside the name of each thing that you need to download. So they should be there too. You may need to install AnimateDiff first for it to make those folders. Oh, what did I do wrong? None type has no attribute size. Okay, let's have a think about this. You're fine, you're fine. You're fine, you're fine. Why you have to be made? What did I... Oh, I see what I did wrong. I didn't select the AnimateLCM T2V checkpoint. I selected the I2V checkpoint. So yeah, that's my bad. Let's try that again. The image to video checkpoint uses a different AnimateDiff loader, basically. Group. Where are you? Group. No, not convert to group node. I want to group. That's it. Diffusion, you are AnimateDiff, you are settings, title, settings, checkpoint, prompt, you are AnimateDiff, no worries, title, diffusion, first run. Try and get it all on the screen there so you can copy it if you want. Yeah, if the folders don't exist in your models directory, just install the corresponding plugins first, like AnimateDiff-Evolved, or actually that might be the only one. Yeah, and then when you restart Comfy, it should make those folders for you. The models used to be stored in the custom nodes folder where AnimateDiff-Evolved was installed, but they've changed that. Same with IP adapter. Those all go into the IP adapter folder, but we're not doing IP adapter tonight, so don't sweat it. Probably should have done a shorter run to test this, but that's okay. Let's go. Thank you. Boop, 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 boop. Render. Have I tried perturbed attention guidance with AnimateDiff yet? I have not. I just found out about that the other day. It's very cool, but I don't know anything about it yet. I love the name of it too. Fully perturbed. Desktop audio off. All right, cool. Zoop. So yeah, if you're a total noob and you don't have AnimateDiff-Evolved, or no, yeah, AnimateDiff-Evolved and ControlNet Advanced installed, for the next step, you're going to need ControlNet Advanced. So that's in the manager custom nodes. ControlNet Advanced. That one. ComfyUI Advanced ControlNet. You're going to need that. This one went way more abstract than they normally do. That's strange. Wonder why. Same as my other setup, right? Yeah. LCM. Yeah. All right, well, let's try something else. It's cool. Very abstract, though. And now it's running it through the interpolation, so we'll get the sort of like half-time version of it. For the next one, I will try traffic in downtown LA. A car driving down the highway, smoke in the air, cars drifting down the highway at night, neon lights. A car jumps over a river. Driving down a nice peaceful country lane. We'll go. Car explodes into flames. And back to traffic in downtown LA. All right. How's our slow motion version look? Pretty smooth. Right on. Now let's try something more realistic. Why did you go over there? That's weird. Yeah, that's the right model. T size is right. This is good. Oh. Set your AnimateDiff LoRA settings to 0.5 to start. I think that happened because it was set to 1. The motion LoRA can actually have a lot of effect on the final look of the thing. If it's too high, it'll overbake like this. So I've set that back to 0.5. With this realistic prompt schedule, we should get something pretty cool. So let's run that again. Actually, no, let's add the upscaler first. So I'm going to remove this film run because we don't need it for now. Just taking extra time for no reason. You can always film process stuff later. That's another thing with Comfy. You can always, if you need to do like one little thing, just open a new tab, clear the workflow. And you can always like load video. If you need to do stuff like this, just load the video, add the film node, and then spit it out with a video combine. So you can literally do like tiny little workflows like this in a separate tab. So if I decided I wanted to upscale this later, I could just, save this. It's already saved, but I'll just save it to my downloads folder. And I could just load it up in my downloads folder. It's not it. Downloads. Yeah. And then we could just film it just like this. Hit the button, let it go. It's done. Go back to your workflow. So the things don't have to all be inside your workflow. You just need to process something or cut out a clip or cut out some trim a video, things like that. You can do it. You don't have to do it in the same workflow, so you don't have to wait for the whole thing to go through to do it again. All right, so if we want to upscale this, we need the latent image from our first KSampler, and that is going to go into a latent upscale by, which we're going to set that to bilinear and 1.5, which is fine. And then we're going to add a KSampler. So that's plugged into the latent image. We're going to take our model from AnimateDiff. Now, our positive and negative are going to come from here, but we need to add ControlNet first. So we're going to add an apply ControlNet, advanced. All right. We're going to add a ControlNet loader, advanced, ControlNet loader, advanced. This matters. Has to be these two nodes. So we're going to load the AnimateDiff ControlNet, which is the one that I linked in the description. That goes in models ControlNet. We're going to take our positive prompt from the schedule. We're going to take our negative prompt from the negative prompt. The image is actually coming out of the VAE decoder. So that's what AnimateDiff is looking at for each frame. Then that positive and negative go into our KSampler. So if you were to think about this in another way, this probably makes more sense. Down even lower. All right. So we're loading our ControlNet in as our positive and negative. We're taking we're upscaling our latent, and we're loading the AnimateDiff ControlNet. So the strength is 0.66%, our start percent is 0.25, and percent is 0.75. So that makes it lets it dream for the first few steps wildly. Then it latches on and tries to enforce the composition, and then when it'll let go about 75% of the way through and let it dream harder again. So then our latent goes into a VAE decoder, and then same as before, we're just going to grab one of these stacks here, Control C, Control V, and I'm just going to change it to 24 FPS upscale. All right, or actually no, say upscale 24 FPS. That's going to help later when I'm looking at the files. If you name it something separate for each one, then they won't be all grouped together. They'll be grouped together by the thing they are. So yeah, I recommend adding it to the front so they're not all 24 FPS and then some of them are 24 FPS upscale. These are separate, upscale 24 FPS and 24 FPS. So use this as your suffix almost, and then use your thing as your prefix. And then this image goes in here, and that's everything. So just for sanity's sake, I'm going to put this stuff underneath and then drag it up here, drag them over here, and we're going to add a thing, a group. All right, and then this will be our diffusion upscale. KSampler will be purple, and we'll do 10 steps, CFG of 2. Sampler name is LCM. Scheduler is SGM. Same as these settings. All right. And actually, this stuff will come down to about here by the time we get the preview. All right. I'm going to make the ControlNet stuff yellow because it's on the clip. Spinned it. All right. Yellow. VAE decoder is red. VAEs are red. And upscale latent is a diffusion thing, so we'll make it purple. All right. This whole thing will be purple too because it is diffusion. So there's the upscaler. There's a thing. Okay, now here's another thing you can do. There is a node called seed everywhere. There's a million nodes. You can even use, you know, one of these integers if you want. I like this one. It's in the use everywhere nodes. So you just go manager, use everywhere. There's a million seed nodes. If you already have one, just grab it. There's one in WAS, one and a bunch of other ones. The point is, yeah, you install that, restart. The point is, this seed everywhere, I can now just set it in one place and forget about it. So we're going to do a fixed seed of 42069, bro. And then we're going to right click on each KSampler and change our seed to an input. This will make sense in a second. Okay. Plug the seed into both KSamplers. Now this seed will be determined at the beginning of our run. So when we have the same seed, we can bypass our upscaler by selecting it all and hitting Control B. We can do our run, and then if we like our run, because it's all on the same fixed seed, we can unbypass this and hit Q again, and it'll bypass all this and just run the upscaler. So it gives you the option to run the upscaler when you get a good run, as opposed to having to stop it every single time. So yeah, there's a few ways you can handle this as well. There's a node that comes with Chris Tools, I think, called Fast Group Muter. Oh no, that comes with RG3. This Fast Group Muter button thing here, it'll mute things based on the title of the group. So you notice my groups are settings, checkpoint, prompt, AnimateDiff, diffusion first run, diffusion upscale. I did that for a reason so that I could just see at a glance these. So you can take this and put it at the beginning. And when you want to disable that final upscale, you just disable that. It's going to mute everything in that group. And then when you go to run it, you can re-enable it and hit the button. You can also use this thing to jump to the group that is editing. So it's a cool little way of getting around your patch. And that's in the rg3 node group. So yeah, we'll disable our upscaler and we'll hit it. So I might delete these two when I go to post this to keep the custom node numbers down, but honestly, if you just load up the workflow and then in Manager, there's an install missing custom nodes thing. It's just going to show you everything that you need, and you can just go install them one by one and then restart Comfy. So it's only really relevant if you're following along with me and you don't want to keep installing stuff. But yeah, when you go to use this workflow later, you can just install them all at once, kind of thing. All right, let's try this crazy prompt with the upscaler bypassed. Hey, Cyber Wizard. What's up, Dave? Frank, do I use NN latent upscale? I don't even know what that is, bud. I haven't tried it, but we could try it. We could also try tile control net at some point too. It's interesting. Nice. I use an app called Pinocchio, Pinocchio.computer. So that's like that's kind of what I use to control all the things that we install on our computer AI wise. Recommend it. I think it's pretty cool. You just download the little launcher and then it'll like kind of, you can make separate environments for all these things to test. So you can play with all the new stuff that comes out without having to compromise your local Python install. But I actually use it for Comfy as well. There's an installer for Comfy. So yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, see ComfyUI. So yeah, if you want to play with some of the new stuff that's not in Comfy yet, you know, this is a really good way to do it. Because when you're done, you can just delete the folder and you're off to the races. Yeah. And that's Pinocchio.computer. Yeah, that's a thing. I do a lot of that too. Yeah, for sure. Render, render, render. And of course, you can expand and extend these workflows. You can add IP adapters. You can add ControlNet. Depending on the size, you can add deep shrink. I wouldn't add deep shrink when you add ControlNet, but if you're trying to go above 512 by 512, deep shrink makes it look much better. Yeah. What else? There's yeah, you could image to image if you're video to video if you want with this. You would just feed them into the VA encoder, but it would probably return nonsense. Yeah, so these file name prefix nodes, they they make these folders here. In your outputs folder, you get these nice dated folders. So today's date, prompt travel, you know. So stuff we've been making. It's pretty cool. It's a nice way to keep things separate. Oh, that's a great prompt. I don't use artist names in my prompts anymore. But yeah, that would be cool. Nice. Wicked. Very kinetic. Have a good one, food. I don't see a car jumping over a river. Oh, yeah. Oh, never mind. I take it back. It kind of drove through the river, but nice. All right, cool. So then if we want to upscale that, how long did that take? 4 minutes. Upscale will probably take about 15. So I'm not going to run it. But yeah, that's the setup for it. You can run those locally at home and do your thing. But just for the interest of brevity, we're going to not do the upscales live. I did say I was going to check and see how much VRAM this uses when it's running. I'm sitting at quite a bit of VRAM actually right now with the stream and everything. Yeah, it's sitting at 7 gigs. And I think that has to do with maybe having the model still loaded into memory. But yeah, so take my memory readouts with a grain of salt because I'm currently streaming and, you know, on Discord and all that stuff. So, but yeah, let's find out. Breakdancer's sleeping. I like that. Extremely tired, sleepy breakdancer. Breakdancer sleeping while dancing. A sleepy breakdancer sleepwalks across the frame. A sleepy breakdancer falls into a fountain at the mall. A breakdancer who's extremely tired starts swimming in the fountain. The sleepy breakdancer gets out of the fountain and walks off into the sunset. And then we'll go back to an extremely tired, sleepy breakdancer. I hope he's really sleepy. I wish there was a fast forward time button. I haven't. Someone else literally just asked about that. Looks really neat. I don't really understand it yet. Tag. Does this work with LCM? Hmm. The question is, do I dare update Comfy live on stream? I don't think so. I've been down that road before, and it ends in sadness and Comfy not working. Looks like I'm a sleepy break dancer tonight. He looks pretty tired. A horrible surprise? What did they change something? Ugh, sorry guys, I'm really trying not to yawn. I don't know why it's happening. I'm not tired. Just happens when I go on stream. I think it's the heat from my computer just lulling me to sleep. I think I'm gonna open my window here and try and cool it down a bit. Check this out. This is exactly why I made this. Ready? Toasty! Yeah, I think it would. Is it working? We won't talk about the last stream where I played music for the first 20 minutes all over Make It Rad's intro and we had to start over. I'm a professional streamer. Okay. Whoa. This is some insane breakdancing. Some of these moves look downright painful, like when the body completely separates. Yeah. Well, you know, kind of napping the whole time. All right, let's try this subtract. All right, everybody type a line. Hurry up. Everybody type a line. We're going to just do a crowd-funded or crowdsourced animation here. So far we got increasing speed, time-lapse night sky, glowing glow wave spiraling fractals. Need a third one. Quick. Popping and locking. What else? Let's make something crazy here. Hit me. That's nice. Sleeping in flowers. What's next? Here's the thing. If you don't answer, it's going to be cursed Teletubbies. So don't make me do it. Well, I don't see it, Tom. That's what we're going to do it. Cursed Teletubbies. Chasing you down an alley. Keep them coming. I'll save it for the next run. This is going to be completely unhinged. Y'all type too slow. Robocop toaster. I can't wait to see Mr. Bean finally win the Miss America pageant. He deserves it. Yeah. There's a bit of a delay for sure. I think it's actually more delayed now because I added the closed captioning. So if people weren't understanding my mumbling, at least there's some attempt to write out what I'm saying. But it causes a delay in the stream itself. Ooh, hiccups. So here's one of the things that I've always find funny, and I've mentioned this a lot, but when you've got a really low CFG like we do, is we're on step 2 of this animation right now. See this figure in it? This is actually a representation of everything in the negative prompt. See how it's gone away? For the first 2 steps or so, you can actually see the negative prompt in the background of the image. And usually it's the silhouette of a naked lady because, you know, I have like NSFW nude at the front of it. Yeah, it's just a funny little quirk about low CFG generation. The difference between positive and negative is not as defined. In fact, when your CFG is 1 or lower, it's almost better not to use a negative prompt because sometimes it actually combines the two. Let's save this as a simple prompt travel. I'm going to drop this on my Discord right now so you can go get it and have fun with it. Where is it? PERS resources. So this is actually an update to an old workflow I've done. So I'm going to add it to that, and I'll link it. One sec. AnimateLCM. Boop. Updated workflow from live stream tonight. And then we're going to pin that. Pin the message. Oh yeah, pin it. And we'll copy that text. No, not the text, but the message link. All right, here's the link to the Discord channel with the oh, I don't know if that worked. It might not have worked. Oh yeah, there it is. So yeah, if you're not on my Discord, just go to pers.xyz. And the link to the Discord is at the top. You can click on that, and then you can, after you're in my Discord, if you click on that, it'll take you straight to tonight's workflow. You can grab the JSON file and load it in Comfy. If you're missing any of the nodes, you just go to Manager and say Install Missing Custom Nodes, and they'll show up here. You just install them one by one, restart Comfy, reload the workflow, and it'll work. Just make sure you select you're gonna have to reselect the models with the ones that are with the ones you've downloaded. And remember, all the links and the folders they go in are in the description below. So you will have to go in and reselect all yours because it needs to know where they are on your computer. Yeah, should be pretty straightforward because you only have one or two of them in there anyway, so it'll be good. And this is bypassed by default, and all you have to do to enable it is just re-enable it here. So if you want to do an upscale every time, you can enable it all the time. Otherwise, you can do a run, and then if you want to upscale it, enable it, run again. And if it's the same fixed seed, it'll just skip this part and do this part because this part will still be in the buffer. So then it can just upscale it from here. Here we go. All right. Yep. I don't know if Mr. Bean won the pageant or if he just danced at it. Doesn't even look like Mr. Bean. Well, it's pretty insane. All right. 3D symmetrical, colorful, vibrant rainbow. Like that. Rococo Gothic cat in a teacup. Can't use quotes, so let's do that. Comma. RoboCop toaster. Diving in a pool. What else we got? And we gotta go to the first one. 3D symmetrical, colorful, vibrant rainbow. Blup, 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 blup. Yep, that's all good. Hit it. Nice. I like the idea of a food fight. Let's check the VRAM now. Once running, I'll wait for it to finish the first step, and then we'll do a VRAM check. I bet it's going to be like 10 or 11, but I bet you that's more like 6 or 7 real life. I feel like this will work on 8 gigs of VRAM if you're not streaming to YouTube at the same time. All right, CMD, NVI top. Yeah, 9.2. I bet you I'm using at least 3 for the stream, so yeah. I'm going to guess that that'll work. Definitely work with 12. And of course, VRAM requirements go up when you start adding more stuff, so higher res, upscales, all that stuff will add more and more VRAM usage. If you go over your VRAM, it will still work, but it'll be swapping memory between your VRAM and your system RAM. And your system RAM is like exponentially slower than VRAM. So it'll slow down the whole process. So it won't stop until you actually fully run out of memory. But it will be extremely slow. So if your render is taking way too long, you're probably exceeding your VRAM usage. And it's swapping into memory. So either bring the res down, get rid of one of the control nets, whatever you're doing, back off a bit. Cool part about AnimateLCM though. Yawning. The cool thing about AnimateLCM is it's trained at 576 by 320 as well. So you can do 320 by 512 or 576 by 320 or 320 by 576. Those work. Those look great. But you can also pop a deep shrink in there and go like 896 by 512 or 512 by 896. And it'll do that too. So really, it's just about how much VRAM and time you have. And yeah, experiment with different motion LoRAs because they do different things. Maybe switch to No Burgers Explode LoRA. We'll try that one. I have a stream maybe 2 or 3 back where I teach you how to train your own custom motion LoRAs. I believe it takes 14 gigs of VRAM though, so you will need a 16 gig card or more. It's stupid fast on the 40 series. It's a little slower on mine. But yeah, I like training motion LoRAs. They're cool. I'm putting together a pack of motion LoRAs to give to my supporters on Patreon, so that'll be a perk for the supporters to get access to my own private collection of motion LoRAs. I just have to put that together. I have to do a lot more testing, figure out which motion LoRAs are viable, but yeah, I've been training quite a few, and I'd like people to be able to have access to them. So we'll make that happen real soon. There are a few issues with Patreon's sort of licensing when it comes to offering products. So I will just be offering them on the Discord. So if you're a Patreon supporter on my Discord, you'll have access to that specific resources channel. I noticed with Patreon, if you offer products, they somehow own the products that you offer in their license terms of service. So I need to investigate that a little further before I offer that stuff right on patreon.com. But yeah, the training motion, it's just a few episodes back from this PERS custom motion LoRA. There you go. I already have a supporters section on my Discord. It's all good. I just want to keep it in one place. Oh, that's weird. It went... Oh, Sleeping in Flowers. I forgot to change that one. Same seed, so it's basically the same thing. That's crazy. Wow, the diver didn't really dive. It's kind of splashing around in a pool. I like the cat in the teacup, though. That's cute. All right, let's do centered bilateral symmetry. Water storm. Hyper realistic, hyper detailed, big eyed, googly eyes. Sure. What else? Walking ancient Greek statues. School cafeteria during a food fight. All right. Godzilla versus Gandhi. Who will win? And back to centered bilinear symmetry. We're making films here, people. Strange experimental films that no one should ever watch, but films nonetheless. All right, here's our new run. Actually, it'll go faster if I set the resolution to 576 by 320. Let's try that. Yeah, this stuff will be a can next year for sure. When I accept the word, I'll make sure to thank you all. I'd like to thank my team for helping me decide that putting a cat in a teacup right before somebody splashing around in a knee-high wading pool. Copy message link. Tonight's workflow. That's much faster. The quality would be a little lower at this size, but it should be much, much faster. Ronald McDonald robbing Burger King. Hey, obsessive. So if you wanted each context to last longer, right, you would just figure out a number sequence of like 0, 48, then add 48, then add 48, then add 48. And then when you've got your final thing, add another, 24 or 48, and then make that the final frame count. So you're basically just making sure all this adds up to this with a little extra time for this last one to loop back around to this one, basically. And again, you can probably do 300 to 500 frames. If you go higher than that, you run the risk of using your system RAM when you're doing the VAE decode. And it could take forever to actually spit it out. So, like I said, it won't fail. It'll just take forever, which is, almost worse than just failing. I have a bad feeling about this one. Let's see. We'll see. Well, that's crazy. So the really abstract stuff breaks it, but once it can lock onto something, it's not too bad. But this is just chaos. So, that makes me want to try one more thing, which is adding deep shrink. Okay. Pass that through. Default settings, and we're going to try one at 896 by 512. So this will be a big one. I'm actually going to do 106 frames. And just grab these, first 4. This is going to take quite a while. So let's try to grab stuff that's more, salient. Because the abstract stuff is just turning into chaos. So let's try the world's smallest giant. This might work. And then I feel like this one might just make chaos, but let's try it. And then we'll go back to the world's smallest giant. All right, let's try a big one. What was the Discord server that had the SV3D workflow? I think there's one on mine. Or was it maybe just the default setup? Check Banadoko. I bet it's on Banadoko. If you go to... Yeah, there's a link in the bottom left here on Banadoko. Join Discord. That's the official Banadoko Discord link. Yeah, this one here. So go there and join Banadoko, and then in Banadoko, all of the workflows, the community workflows. All the community workflows are in 80 resources. So yeah, if you want to play with new stuff, it's all in here. It's all the stuff the community's been working on. Super fun. So you only need this deep shrink node if you're going above 512 by 512. We've changed our resolution to 896 by 512. So it's going this way. Let's go to NVI top and see. So this is using 11.5 gigs at this res. So it's gone up by 2. So if your last one took 7, this one will take 9. You know what I mean? That'll push you over 8. So you want to watch that. Do I have my own nodes? No, I don't actually make nodes because what I like to do is tell smarter nerds than me that something isn't possible. And then they'll go make the node for me, basically, out of spite, and then I get to use it. So, yeah, I've sort of weaponized incompetence in that way. But yeah, if that doesn't work, maybe I would have to come up with my own nodes. I know a lot of people have been having a lot of luck doing it just with like ChatGPT and Claude and stuff like that. Basically telling it, you know, what a custom node is and the format, and yeah, we've been making cool stuff. I think Machine Delusions, I think, does that. I don't know, there's not much missing from Comfy right now. There's more stuff than I can even have time to look at. Kind of want to update and check out that perturbed attention masking. Perturbed attention. Strings for what, though? The only thing you can use keyframe strings for is this. And that new IP adapter waiting, which looks pretty cool. It's another thing I got to look into. Okay. Well, there's the world's smallest giant. And then all right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that one part looks better with the person for sure. Yeah, that looks better. But this stuff is kind of boring. The problem is nothing works like that in AnimateDiff, so it'd be good for batch stuff, I guess. We're just going to go back to 512 by 512, and we're going to kill deep shrink because we don't need it. Okay, I'm going to try walking through a shimmering ancient cave. A portal appears and takes us to a new dimension. Astral traveling on a desert highway. Canyon of giant rock formations, northern lights. We enter a portal to a new dimension. Walking through a lush, verdant rainforest. And then we're going to go back to the cave. The campfire. Let's try that. 210, blah, 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 512, F512, blah, 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 yeah, go. Yeah, I found describing a story, describing realistic events, as opposed to more abstract, painterly sort of concepts, tend to work better with prompt travel and LCM, because we're pulling from the model's conditioning. So the motion model is, it's trained on stuff footage that already exists. So if you want to get into abstract stuff like we were doing with these prompts, you need to actually use IP adapters and like ControlNet to, start inferring what you want to see and where. So that's sort of step 2 after learning how to prompt travel, is learning how to actually control and manipulate the composition of what you're making. I got a lot of videos on that. The 6 color masks, the ControlNet stuff, audio reactive masks for ControlNet. Lots of ways to do it. Lots of ways to mix those. Attention masking and IP adapters is incredibly powerful. Yeah, covered all that and more on previous streams, but yeah, tonight we're going to keep it simple. This is a very sort of first steps into AnimateDiff. Gives you lots of control because you can just do prompts, and then if you want to start adding IP adapters and ControlNet, it works the same as still images. You would just add IP adapters before ControlNet or before AnimateDiff, and then you would add ControlNet after the prompt scheduling. ControlNet's on the conditioning, IP adapter is on the model path, so they don't actually really talk to each other. You just run them concurrently. Checkpoints for abstract work. Any anime ones. Problem is the anime ones, they tend to draw things you may not want in your images, like images of anime characters and stuff. You just, because it's trained on all that, so it just keeps popping up. It'd be really interesting to have an animation model that is not trained on pictures of animated people. That would be a very cool model. I don't think I've seen one of those. Or just something trained specifically on paintings of not people. Landscapes. Abstract stuff. Things like that. It's completely avoiding portrait painting and photography. Illustration. Because that stuff really does just push right through. But for these workflows, the LCM checkpoints really work the best, as opposed to using the LCM LoRA on regular checkpoints. I've done a lot of testing on that, and I just can't get good results using the LoRA. But whatever. Another thing is there's if we use a LoRA loader, there's an AnimateLCM LoRA. This LoRA, you don't need it when you use these models, but you can actually use it in conjunction with super low CFG. So if your CFG is at 2, you're not liking what you're getting, you want to go lower, you set your CFG to 1, and then set this strength to like 0.15 or so. Then just route everything through it. And this will help clean up the CFG1 stuff and push it into the sort of into the right headspace to do animation. So yeah, if you're going to use this, use it with CFG1 and just crank it up a little bit. Otherwise, you don't need it. You don't need it. gonna try one of my own. LoRAs here. Yeah. Damn. I think a lot of this is actually the motion model causing the insanity. You can also not use one. You don't need to use this motion LoRA. You can just unplug it if you want to. If everything's way too chaotic, you can just unplug it. If you're not getting results that you want, you don't have to use it. Right. I'm gonna try this one again with a different motion LoRA and see if what kind of difference it makes, because it's the same prompt. So yeah. Let's see what it do. I think it'll do less less of the chaos, hopefully. Next one, we're just going full curse Teletubbies. All right. You know what might be interesting too is spacing these out more. See what happens with longer context. Pretty fast. We're ripping these in less than 5 minutes. 210 frames in less than 5 minutes is pretty sweet. Yeah, I'll take this time to talk about my Patreon and all that other crap. So yeah, if you like what we do here, you want to support the channel, the Patreon's the best way to do it. Become a supporter, and you get access to a special couple channels on Discord, and one of them will be a special resources channel with stuff just for supporters. So custom motion LoRAs, and I'm working on a mask pack as well. I know I've been saying that forever, but I am. Yeah, hit it up. Otherwise, you know, the information will always be free. The workflows will always be free. I don't believe in putting information behind the paywall, only convenience. So I'm always going to teach you how to do these things. But, you know, stuff like custom motion LoRAs, if I've done the work for you, then, you know, you can support me if you want those. But yeah, you know, I don't want to gatekeep information, but I definitely... you know, information should be free, but charge for convenience. So that's sort of my concept for this. So if you want access to assets and you know, models and stuff that I've trained, that'd be the way to do it. Yeah, you know, people supporters get priority help access and stuff like that. You know, you don't need to be a supporter to come and hang out on the regular Discord. There's tons of workflows there, tons of people. You got questions, hit up the help channel. The community will help you if I'm not there. Yeah. Join the Discord, join the Patreon. Be a creative explorer with me. Can I do an example for image to video with current setup? No. No, but I already have IP adapter workflows. You can check that out. If you really want to do image to video, I highly recommend on Banadoko, there's a new workflow based on steerable motion. Image to video with steerable motion looks much better than this. This is cool. Yeah, so it looks like the secret sauce is my custom motion LoRA. Wicked. This one was trained on a camera pulling through a scene, so yeah, this makes sense. This sort of infinite zoom in is a lot more like Deforum. I like it. The issue with image to video is it takes over the entire prompt. So you basically have to do one or the other. You can back off IP adapters a bit and get some prompt back, but it really becomes a fight. And it's a little chaotic and uncontrollable. And I don't want to generate something on stream that is gross. So, or necessarily not allowed on YouTube. But yeah, that can happen when you're mixing IP adapters and prompts just because of the way everything connects. But, you know. So, Cursed Teletubbies, let's hit it. This one came out great, though. Really like this one. But yeah, to do image to video, you would add IP adapters. Just you can start very simple. Just add an IP adapters to the model. I can show you how. You literally move this off a bit, take your model out, add an IP adapter. You want to use a unified loader. Set that to plus. Load image. There's a taco. Image scale, the total pixels. Bilinear, 0.56. Image to image, image to image. Then the model goes through. So that's a dead simple. So that image will take over. So that'll take over the prompt basically at that setting. So you'd want to back the weight off. You back the weight off to like 0.5, then the prompt will take effect as well as this. But if you have this at 1, this image is basically going to become your whole run. I don't training a motion LoRA is training a motion model checkpoint is totally different than training a custom motion LoRA. The custom motion LoRAs are trained on 16 frames, the models are trained on giant clusters of GPUs because you have to use hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands of clips. So I won't be training my own motion checkpoint, but yeah, I'll keep training piecemeal motion LoRAs and making it so. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense, Gonaji. And you can try different things. You can try IP adapter tiled. That's better for images that are like wide or tall. IP adapter advanced has some different settings for controlling the curves in which IP adapter takes hold. Yeah. Check out Mateo's IP adapters version 2 video for more info on that. That's the latest IP adapters updates from the author there. And that's Cubic. That's Mateo. He covers he actually made the IP adapter plugins for ComfyUI, so he'd be the one to listen to. He's also got some videos on the new style composition stuff, style transfer stuff that came out. IP adapters has gotten extremely overpowered in the last couple weeks. But yeah, tonight I really just wanted to cover a super simple setup. So yeah, I think this cursed Teletubbies run will be the final one of the night. I think we've exhausted what we can do with this workflow. But yeah, think about different ways that you could expand this workflow. Think about ControlNet. Think about IP adapters. Think about IP adapters attention masking. Think about perturbed attention deficit disorder, whatever it's called. Think about image to image, image to video, video to video. Think about all kinds of stuff. Ways to post-process this video. There's nodes like image filter adjustment. So you can plug this in before the video combine node to, post-process your footage before it even leaves Comfy. So, you could do two different versions, one where you have some stuff and one where you don't. And again, if you want to test these, do what I said earlier, make a new one, pop this in here, run it. Did I close it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so then you could run it and see what it does, change the settings, run it again, see what it does, and come back here and plug it in. Good Lord. Well, they are certainly cursed. Well, I think that's a great note to end it on. Thanks for coming out, everybody. And if you want to play more with this, pick it up. It's on the Discord. Links in the general channel and in the resources channel. Yeah, we'll see you again real soon. I don't have a stream this Friday because I have something to do, but next Friday, my guest will be Safety Mark, who designed all of the motion masks and motion presets for the Deforum studio. He's just very recently released them open source. So we're going to load up Deforum for an old school run. That's next Friday. We're going to load up Deforum and see what we can do with these new presets. So yeah, I know you guys some of you are new to AnimateDiff, but some of you are very old hats with Deforum. So should be interesting to check that out. It's been a while since I've dug back into Deforum. So yeah, it'll be an automatic 11.11 Deforum stream next Friday with Safety Mark. But yeah, this Friday I'll be gone, but I will be streaming on the weekend again. Maybe we'll start adding stuff to this workflow and see how that goes. So maybe we'll just keep adding things to this until we have a, workflow that does lots of cool stuff. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. And if you make anything cool with this, post it in my animation channel, post it on the socials, and tag me. I want to see it. All right. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. As always, you have many places you could spend your time, and I appreciate that you spend your time with me. Have a great night, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.